I'm just checking that you're paying attention. Okay, here's the actual game. All right.
Okay.
So we got E4 starting off with. This is what we predicted. Hikaru, can you still hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay,
Okay, here we are. So E4, E5, knight F3. Okay. All right, let's see what's going to happen.
No Petrov. That's a good sign. Okay, we got a Roy Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
So far, this looks like it could be a game between two super grandmasters.
Right. So far, this is actually what I showed Mo before. So A6 is the best move. I think you might see like D6 here is a move. There are many different moves here that make sense for black. Okay, plays A6. Okay, so B5. Okay, not bad so far. So okay, let's see what he's going to do now. This is already actually a critical moment. It's important that he does not move his knight out right away, because if he does, then white will be able to play knight G5 and attack the pawn on F7. Okay, Mo is being very conservative. He does not go knight G5, which is actually very, very strong. He pushes the pawn. So XUC should develop the bishop and get the king out of the center of the board. This is a very classical sort of position so far, though.
Okay, and let's see if he is going to move his bishop. The reason why that's important is because he's going to have to deal with the knight G5 threat. And the way he'll be able to protect his pawn on F7 if he's able to castle, then he'll have two defenses, but he has to first get the bishop out of the way. So this is going to be a pretty critical moment.
Okay, plays D5, which actually I think it's probably not a great move objectively, but if you're not familiar with this sort of move so early on in the game, I could see this being a situation where Mo does not necessarily find an obvious setup, because this is very unusual. And one thing is, when we're teaching some of these people the basics, it's not common to teach them to exchange stuff in the center right away. Like, it's more common to try to figure out like the basics, like just defend everything, castle, follow things that are a little bit simpler. So I like XUC's opening. He's going to take with the knight, of course.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good way to open it. Like you said, I'm always a little bit nervous when I see new players getting into something so complicated, because I'm worried about their king safety, but the game is still young, so we might have both. And I'm actually going to pull up XQC's audio in the back, so I'll let you continue explaining the position while I do that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think right now this is again very critical position. XQC needs to develop his bishop and get the king out of the center of the board. This will be very, very critical moment. I do think that he's doing okay, even if he loses his pawn in the center. He should have some chance.
Queen's in position.
Okay, now I played bishop G4, which is actually
later on.
Okay, this is a very interesting
later on.
I guess the way that I'm going to characterize this game is either Black is going to... I think someone's going to be winning this game within the first, 15 moves. Let me put it that way. I think either White's going to end up much better or Black's going to end up much better based on this opening choice from XQC. He should not take the knight here. It's very critical that he moves the bishop back, does not play for the direct attack. This is very, very important. Very important that he does not trade the bishop here.
He wants to keep the pressure, and he wants to keep the pin here. And Hikaru, if you want to also pull up XQC's stream, we already have it on the broadcast, so the chat can hear it, and that way you can see his thoughts also.
Sure, okay. Okay, yeah, I'll pull it up.
All right. I'm also adjusting his volume here.
Not really.
Yeah, but he's got the right idea. It looks like he's looking at bishop h5. It looks like he's looking at bishop h5.
Yeah, and he's worried that if bishop h5, his opponent will play g4.
Right, which, I think the bishop h5 is a very good move. He's got a lot of time, I think it's important that he's using his time here. And he plays bishop h5. Very, very good. By the way, I know we're not supposed to take favorites, but I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of rooting for XQC in this game. So if I am a little bit biased, you guys, that's just how it's going to be for this one game. Anyway, so bishop h5 is a good move. rather than taking the knight. If he took the knight, I think he was probably close to loss. Okay, so Mo plays knight d2. Logical move supports the knight.
Why not?
And I think now this is where Felix needs to develop the bishop and get the king out of the center of the board. It's very critical. If he does this, I think we're going to have a very competitive game. And what I also am liking so far is that one thing that I've noticed that XQC does very frequently is he does not bring his forces on the queen side, the pieces to the left of the queen, into the game. And the fact that he's already gotten the bishop out, he's developed his knight, as long as he finishes with the bishop and the king, I think that he's going to be doing very, very well. So I think it's important that he keeps on rolling. He plays bishop c5, another very good move. This is very, very good so far. I'm not going to lie. This is very, very good.
Yeah, he has been playing fantastic chess. He's got the opening principles down. He kept the pressure on the pin.
I take this.
So now for Yassuo, I do like the position for white. Knight e4 looks pretty good here, getting the knight to the center and freeing up the bishop to be able to develop after. And he did play it. He saw it. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so one thing that I would say about Yassuo is he's very good at spotting tactical solutions. When I've seen him doing Puzzle Rush, he's doing it at a very high level. So I would say in general that if he gets tactical solutions, I think he could even rival Voyboy if he gets the right sort of position where there's a 2 or 3 move combo. But that's the strength that Yassuo has. He's very good at spotting these moves that are attacking pieces.
Right. So based on that strategy, what do you think XQC needs to do to win against such a tactical player?
I think mainly he just needs to get out of this opening phase. If he, as I said before, if he can get his king castled, get everything developed, and be safe, I think. Yeah,
he's given a little bit of material there.
Oh my God.
Okay, but it's still maybe if he moves the knight to d4, I can see some danger. There are still some chances, maybe.
And I'll just break that down a little bit. So the reason why knight to d4 is still dangerous is because he does have this pin on the knight. If he's able to capture, white will be forced to take back with his pawn, which is going to expose his king a little bit. His pawns are pretty aggressive here, but his only chances are to go for some kind of attack that ends up panning out, even if it's not technically correct.
Right, so since he's behind by a bishop, the 2 moves that I think that he should play here is either he should castle the king or he should play knight d4. Now, I'm not opposed to him castling the king, because even though he's going to end up losing a rook, and I'm sure Yassuo will see the fork with the knight move, he'll still have an attack on the king's side. So it's very important here that he either moves the knight to d4 or he castles his king. One of those 2 moves.
All right.
Otherwise, this could fall apart very quickly.
And I'm taking a peek at his chat right now, and he is hovering over the c6 knight. But he does, when XQC thinks, he hovers over quite a few pieces. I think that's how he goes through his thought process. So it's actually hard to predict what he's going to go for.
Right, so he castles, which I like, because now I assume Yassuo is going to see knight e6 based on the puzzles that he's been solving. And even though white's going to win the rook, black will be able to still have an attack where he can bring the pieces towards the king. So it's very weird, but knight e6 actually I think is one of the worst moves that white can play here, considering the match situation. Because since white has 1 extra juicer, white has an extra bishop in this case, it would be simpler to try and alleviate the pressure first. Okay, so he goes bishop g5. So now XQC will probably play queen to d6, I assume. Queen to d6 is a very important move to attack the white knight.
Yeah, and after he attacks the white knight, it's a little bit tricky to figure out where to move it. I mean, he might bait Yassuo into making something like knight b7 and potentially, I guess the problem is with knight b7, his queen doesn't have a lot of great squares and it can hop back and forth if the queen, repeats the position. But it does get a little bit complicated, which is good for him in a piece down situation.
Right, so he finds queen d6, which is a good move, very good move. And we could see a very funny repetition here with knight b7, queen d7, knight c5. I don't expect any of the games to be drawn here, but it's I think we could see something like that.
Well, that would be a fantastic result with the black pieces here, because he is down a piece and he does have a time disadvantage. However, he saw the critical move here, and maybe if he is able to kick the knight out without getting a draw, he has ideas like e4, which are tricky to play against because he's attacking the knight that can't move because of the pin.
Yeah, I think this is one of the... Ooh, oh my gosh. If XQC goes e4 here... Oh, wait, there are many moves here. Knight takes d4 and pawn to e4 are both very good moves here. This looks like a very big blunder by Yassuo. Okay, this is gonna heat up in a hurry. I think e4 here is a very strong move. If XQC finds e4, I think the result is very much up in the air.
Which one do you think is more intuitive for him?
I think knight takes d4 is probably more intuitive. Okay, takes with the pawn, which is not the best move. I guess one thing that's weird here though is moving your knight backwards to like d3 is not an obvious move for a human to spot. So I think this game is still very up in the air in terms of who's better. So I'm very curious to see the next couple of moves.
All right. Well, apparently we are going to go to stream audio for a second so that we can listen just to the players. So we are not going to be talking for a moment so that we can hear where their heads are at, and we will be back soon. Oh, okay.
That wasn't bad at all. That was pretty good, actually. He didn't think about this, actually. He didn't think about it. I gave him too much credit. I thought he thought about it, but he didn't. He did nothing about this. And I can open up his pawn over here like this if he uses his queen somewhere, and then that gives me good avenues for checks and whatnot. Great. Hey, come on, 2 minutes, come on. Think, motherfucker, think. I want to get him out of there. Get out of there, buddy. That wasn't bad at all. That was a good play also. Get out of my face, bro. It also defends like a later back rink or back ice skater juicer.
And we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed being able to get in XQC's head for a little bit there. Hikaru, bishop f4 just played. Mm-hmm. Do you think the position has gotten better or worse for black?
It still remains bad for black, but it's not terrible. Knight f4, I think instead of bishop f4 was extremely strong. XQC just needs to stay calm and move his queen backwards, and it's still only one bishop that he's down. So I think the game is still very much in flux. Anything can happen. But it is, I feel like with every move, it's very, very critical for both sides. So I feel like both players on their turns, there's a very high risk that they'll make a blunder and lose the game. So that's why with every move, I think the tension builds here. XQC is low on the clock. That's the only problem, but he's got to move the queen backwards here.
Right, and when he moves the queen backwards, he also has to be a little bit careful about the pin on his knight, but that's a pin he can get out of pretty easily, and at least he still has the tension on his opponent's knight and queen here. Do you think there's any worthwhile kingside attacks XQC should go for, something like g5?
Once he moves the queen, certainly he should. I think the main problem he has is that the bishop on the light square is targeting his king. This is the big problem that he has in this position. But it's not. I mean, this is probably a bad move, moving the queen over one square. But I think it's still very unclear. I think both players could win this game still.
Well, on that note, since we saw what XQC is thinking, we are also going to listen to Yassuo or go to his stream. I think we're going to be listening to his audio now. So chat, you'll be able to hear it. And Hikaru, if you want to be able to comment on it, you should open his stream as well.
Sure. Okay.
Because I'm also developing my rook, and I'm taking
will
over the
do that
full
at the
E
same
file.
time.
So if he foolishly moves a piece like that'd be a good move. That's like the only move he can make, I think.
Okay, so XQC
Okay, he wants to take.
played bishop takes f3. He's attacking
take
his
with queen
opponent's
here.
queen. His
I
queen
connect
is
the rooks,
also
and then I
hanging.
also
This is
set
getting
up a
really
double attack
tactical.
against
The
that if I
problem
take
for
with
him
queen.
is that after queen takes f3, now he has two
Double attack.
pieces attacking his knight in the
And
center,
I have the full
as well
Rick
as
file,
the
so I
queen
just want
under
another
attack. So
piece.
this is about to get very bad.
Okay, I think it's GG
yeah,
now. I'm pretty sure I just
kind of
won
fell
off that.
apart way too
I think that was a
quickly
bad move.
for XQC. Yeah, unfortunately, the main problem is that he
I'm trying to
underestimated
think
his
out loud
attack on
because
this
it helps
long
me. It
diagonal.
helps me not blunder when I think out loud.
And I think, I mean, he's probably losing here because it's just the situation with where the pieces are. Kind of, it doesn't really lend itself to there being tricks with the pawns being advanced, no piece really near the no pieces near the white king. So I think it's kind of going south in a bit of a hurry here.
Right,
Okay, so
and
I have a free piece, and I put him in
I
check.
mean, if he takes with the bishop, now he's
Let's take
also
with
going
this.
to be able to win the knight.
Check.
Right.
He is
And I
very
can
good
take
at
another piece
tactics, so
while
I
my queen
do
is
think
still
that's something
defending
he's
the
going to
same line.
see. All right, well, we're going to turn off Yassuo now, chat. Hopefully you guys enjoyed being able to hear what he was saying. I love how he's listening to classical music while thinking about his thought process out loud. Wow, he's just going for the simplification here. That seems like a really good strategy to, take his advantage and make it as easy as possible to win.
Yeah, I think. I mean, unfortunately for XUC, he didn't get a good position out of the opening. If he had moved his bishop to e7 instead of c5, I think it would have been very competitive. Unfortunately, when he blundered his piece, got himself into trouble. And I think at this point, Yassuo is specifically going to play for simplifications to try and trade pieces as much as he can. Unless he blunders like a rook or something, it's very hard to see XQC coming back here. But again, we have seen some surprises already, so anything theoretically could happen.
Right, and when I was coaching Yassuo, well, first of all, he was a fantastic student, so I want to say the bright sides first, and he was thinking out loud. I was super impressed, one of the fastest learners I've ever seen. But he also made a mistake in the end where he blundered his queen instead of checkmating. So that's just to say that, everybody has slip-ups occasionally, and it's good that XQC is still playing, and he's playing fast enough that he is not likely to flag on the clock.
Right, exactly. I think really the question here, because the white pawn is on h3, I think it's very hard for there to be a trick for black. But again, there could be a mouse slip. There are many things that could happen here. So I wouldn't be shocked if something happens.
Yeah, and I mean, if XQC takes on c2, he might get a passed pawn there. So, both sides still have to be a little bit careful. And that's something we always tell chat. Your advice yesterday was never resign.
Right, yeah, I think it's very important to not resign, especially in these matchups. Maybe if someone's playing against Voyboy, for example, I could understand it. But for the most part, I think, but he plays g4, which is okay. Although, g4 allows some danger here if you ever move the queen away. So d2.
Right. I mean, if he sees the idea of queen g3, queen g6, okay, he sacrifices bishop. I thought he might give XQC some counterplay chances.
As long as he doesn't play like queen to 8, I guess it still wins, but he's... Okay, I don't really like... white is clearly winning, but I really don't like the way that Yassuo played this, because there could be some... he makes one mouse slip here, there could be some miracle save for XQC.
Right, and the reason for that is because white's king is now so much more open that, imagine rook e7 wasn't a check, then he'd have a move like queen d6.
Oh, he sees it. Oh, man, he sees it. Ooh.
Well, mate incoming very soon.
He sees it, I think.
Unless XQC blocks with his queen, that's probably the best continuation here.
Yeah, but then there's knight e6. I have seen Yassuo play a couple of games against Slicker in the past. I did notice again that he is very, very good at spotting tactics. I expect him to spot knight e6 here. I would be a little surprised because he goes queen d7. Okay.
I have chess.com telling me that they turned on XQC as well if you want to listen to his audio.
Queen g4. Okay, he misses it. Okay.
He's really trying to survive. He used the word soy boy. I don't know what that means, but I think he's trying to intimidate his opponent.
Okay, well, the one thing though is with a queen and a knight, it's not a natural mating pattern the way it is with like
If
a
he
king and
trades
a
it, he's a soy
queen.
boy.
So like, f4. This is almost a stalemate. This is like kind
Yeah,
of getting
it
to that
was-
point.
He's gonna do the trade.
Yeah, he. I like that
Okay,
he's.
knight f4. Okay, he goes for it, but now white makes a checkmate, right? No stalemate here. Don't sell. Oh no, there's a pawn on h6, so you can't stalemate. Oh.
Multiple checkmates here.
Brutal, brutal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was tough. I mean, other than the opening blunder, it
stalemate him.
seemed like XQC was off to a pretty good start there.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the big
can
mistake for
definitely
XQC
stalemate
was that he
him.
brought the bishop out to c5. I really liked his opening strategy. He changed it up completely, played something where he got the piece out right away. But unfortunately, he moved his bishop out to the c5 square. If he'd moved it to
Yep, that's
e7
good for
and
me.
castled the king, I think he would have
That's good for me.
had some really good chance. And even so, later on in the game, after the d4 pawn push,
Okay,
he
it
played
was all because of
e4.
one move.
I'm sure his chat
It
will
was
tell
all-
him.
yo,
I mean,
it's
of course,
PO3, right?
everybody definitely make sure
Chat,
he gives the
it's PO3, correct?
XQCL. But if he played pawn to e4, he would have had a really good chance to stay in the game and maybe even win.
Right, but of course, at the same time, I understand why it may have been intuitive for him to take on d4 because he was
That was
trading a
good.
pawn and he
You
was
must
getting
work
rid of the
on
pawn that's
finishing.
defending
Yeah,
the
I'm
knight.
bad
So
at that,
this
'cause I
is
never
one of those
finish games.
positions that are tricky
But of course,
because
at
there's
the
so
same
many
time, I
options you need to
understand why
look
it
at,
may have been
especially in a
intuitive
rapid
Fucking
time
huge.
format.
That's
Trading a
Right,
pawn and he was
exactly.
getting
So
rid
I
of
mean,
the pawn
it's
that's
very
defending the
tough.
knight.
But again, it's only one game, and I think he's already shown that he's improved. The way that he played in this game, I was very happy with. It was different than what he did in the previous games that I had seen recently. So I think certainly if he stays focused, he has 2 more games in this group, and even if he ends up in the bottom bracket, he still is going to have a chance to win that one as well. So it's a tough game. It's a tough result, but certainly I was happy to see that it wasn't like just a straightforward loss like I've seen some of his games where he's been tilted on past streams. So I was glad with the opening. Just unfortunately, it didn't quite work out.
That's fair. And what about on Yassuo's performance? What are your thoughts?
I thought in terms of Yassuo's performance, I thought the opening was very good. He tried to develop his pieces. Perhaps he's a little bit too passive in terms of trying to attack. But I thought in general, he played quite solidly. Most of the moves he found were pretty good. There were no major blunders. And other than this one d4 move, it was more or less a very clean performance from Yassuo.
Yeah, fair enough. And he was also playing someone at his level. So you guys, we will be back soon. We will be doing some player interviews. We are going to take a short break and we'll see you soon.